Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
I'm doing wonderfully. How about you?
Uh, yeah, just woke up, pretty fucking tired, but yeah,
Yeah,
here,
sorry, I
alive.
know. New Zealand time, my apologies, but it's when I typically stream.
No, that's on me for staying up late writing an episode or some shit. That's on me.
Alright, how's my
I
favorite New Zealand bread tuber?
good. Just poured a bunch of time into researching kiwi farms, so that's been fun.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
Um,
Got a video on them?
yeah, I'm talking about kiwi farms and edge lords and whatnot.
Nice. Alright. What do you got on your mind, comrade? It's been a while since we last spoke. A lot's happened.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm just basically there's been a lot of stuff happening around left left. I don't know what to call it. Left Twitch,
Hmm.
YouTube, BreadTube. I don't know what you call them. Like those areas recently around. I mean, at this point, around like a bunch of people that like trying to like disassociate from so much people. And I've been predominantly arguing against people about for like that kind of stuff, saying that like I don't think it's a good idea to dissociate from people. I think it's a good idea more to like talk to them and try to like express what you want to like say to them, kind of thing, rather than just like cut them out completely. Um, which is predominantly the reason why I reached out. I was like, yeah, you know what, like if I'm willing to fucking talk to like Destiny or some shit, I should be willing to talk to like other people who are lefties, right?
That's probably a reasonable call on your part. I think a lot of the
Yeah.
drama around me has settled down as well, so probably not as much fire to be speaking with me.
It's you'd be surprised. I've had most people be like, I don't know about to watch. It's like, okay, that's fine. I'm not talking to them on Twitch, so it doesn't matter for them too much. Because I can't, because I'll get banned.
Well, yes, of course. Obviously, that's a bit of an impediment. Yeah, no chance of my Twitch ban getting reversed, unfortunately.
No, I imagine that one is fucked and gone, honestly. Which is fine. I
Nonsense.
mean, you're doing well enough on YouTube, so don't really
Yeah, it
hit,
is,
right?
but it would be nice to go back to the Raj Royale. I'm sorry, hold on, I've got something in my throat. There we go. Jesus. I don't know how the fuck that got in there. It'd be nice to go in the Raj Royale or to be able to go up there and fraught with destiny or what have you. But if I'm doing well on YouTube, I can't reasonably complain. Better to be large here than small there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. And I mean, you two are doing pretty well enough here. I mean, you had to debate with Saigon, which I don't know. He seems to have run away from the one with me. I don't know if you scared him or some shit, but like right after your debate, he just like seemed to stop like talking.
I wonder why. Funnily enough, he actually was interested in a rematch with me immediately after, but I held off because there's rumors I might be able to have a live IRL debate with him in New York sometime next March, which seems to me to be a much funnier and more profitable way to get about my grievances with his political ideology.
Damn,
That's in the
that's pretty
work.
crazy.
That's in the works, though. That might not actually come about.
Damn, that's pretty big. Okay, I might head up again and see if he's still down.
No excuse for him
I was
avoiding
really
you,
looking forward
though.
to it. Yeah, well, yeah, the thing. I was like so excited for. I had like so many things to go because he like obviously like got real pissy about my fucking video on him. So it was like, all right, you want to argue about it, but the thing is, he got pissy and he read like 5 minutes. He watched 5 minutes of my fucking video and then got angry about it. It's like I watched your whole video like 12 times over to make sure that I got it like right. Like, I mean,
Yes,
I
he
hate
watched your
Sargon.
video for exactly one Sargon. That's
Yeah,
all you can really reasonably expect from him.
yeah, I know it's disappointing, but I was like going into it, I was like, okay, this means that I am going to be vastly more prepared than he is for this debate about my video because I'll actually have watched my video. So I guess that makes me. I knew this. I was going to lose it to Sargon, right? You can't lose a debate to Sargon. Basically, it's impossible.
The uh, the
Even if
most
you've got
The most interesting piece of advice I received on him is you have to remember how he plays the debate game. He doesn't play to win, he plays to not lose. He never puts any effort into making affirmative statements. He will only ask you infinitely to either engage in semantics arguments or to define your own positions until he can reduce them to a point where he can make fun of them. But in terms of actually fronting arguments of his own, he will never put forward the effort. So the goal should always be to put him on the back end to get him to clarify his own positions.
will remember that one. Yeah, I think Faraday gave me like the same advice because Faraday wanted to moderate it. Because I saw watching you on, I was like, I don't want to let him pick a moderator because
Yeah.
that just seemed like a mess. Like, I mean, you were like fighting both him and his moderator as well, basically most of the time, which just seemed like a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a. I think the experience could have been improved for the listener, if for no one else. It was a abject well pit of suffering for everyone who dared watch, and I think that in the future we can work to improve that process a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of boils down to this big thing we've had recently, where I don't know if have you actually kept up with like Twitch drama and stuff, right? Because
Oh, of course,
you
yeah,
even watch.
absolutely. I find it
So
very amusing.
So the big argument that we're seeing a lot right now on Twitch is these issues of like these big roundtable kind of things, right? The roundtables of all the people on them and everything, and how the people that are the moderators for those roundtables aren't doing a very good job of moderating those roundtables at all. Like they aren't being trying to be as unbiased as possible. They aren't trying to be like, trying to let a conversation actually happening. It's just kind of like a nightmare.
Do you have a specific example of when the moderator did a poor job moderating?
I think I've probably one that I've mentioned about 1,000 times on my Twitch channel. The old M-word debate, Big Brain podcast.
You probably know whose side I'm going to come down on in that discussion, don't you?
Well, I'm assuming you're going to be on Destiny's side.
I am going to be on Destiny's side, yes. I think that everyone else's behavior was pretty terrible during that discussion.
I personally felt from the entire thing, though. Okay, so as much as I agree with that I actually agree that Destiny was the best performer. I don't necessarily think, although there was a couple of moments, I think his comment time thing was fucking ridiculous. The way comment time gave him all the studies and he said, "Oh, I read one and I'm just going to dismiss the rest of them," seemed a bit ridiculous. That was a point where I was like, that seems like a inaccurate way of looking at a study, is to read one, see that you don't like it, and then dismiss it.
And I haven't gone through all the studies myself, so I wouldn't feel confident making a strong statement either way on that one.
I've gone through this because I think the studies, the ones that Quarantine gave him, were basically a whole bunch of studies based around how it's like lexicon usage, how the usage of certain language, even in private, does to a degree ultimately enter into the way that you use words, and then eventually you end up being more comfortable using those words in circumstances where you're basically put on the back foot. So, i.e., let's say the good example that I go up to normally is, let's say that you're a big time YouTuber and you're on a bridge somewhere, and someone shoots at you and then kills you, and then you just jump to the first word that you think of as like a bad word to call somebody that you use in private quite often.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't disagree with any of that. I mean, I'm a sociology major. I am familiar with those.
Yeah.
And I'm also and a communications minor. I know both elements of this. I recognize that using language casually in private, even if it's used in a non-harmful context, does allow one to use that language a little bit more frivolously in their day-to-day life, often in times when it would imply a more harmful context than the person might be comfortable with. So, for example, saying the N-word, there are, and I will always maintain this, there are ways to say the N-word, hard R, without being racist. 100%. Of course there are. It's not a magic word. There are ways to invoke it. You can use it referentially. You can be reading Tom Sawyer out loud, or Huckleberry Finn, or whatever. There are ways in which you can use it. But if that word enters your lexicon comfortably, there are then ways in which you can evocatively use it. You can use it angrily, in ways in which you don't really have control over the context with which it's interpreted. And that is when you get the issues. I don't disagree with any of that. I just don't think it's right for people to police others' private language in the way that others were with Destiny.
Yeah, I think ultimately, that the biggest issue with the whole M-word debate thing, the reason why I argue that it was a poorly moderated debate, was that firstly, none of that debate, the debate that ended up taking up 4 hours of the Big Brain podcast, was on the list of topics. It was brought up randomly and then it basically dragged out, and through it being brought up and through it being put into place, I noticed consistently that they kept basically shutting up Pixie and Bastiat, who were on the show as well. They kept being like, "Oh, you can't do the rights of opinion here because you've got nothing to add here," which I think not good if you're gonna excluding people on the podcast from being able to say something. I mean, they came on, they were ready for a bunch of topics, and now they're basically being excluded for 4 hours, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Yeah, I think the big things that I would have changed in terms of the moderation there, I think that King Cole probably just should have been shut up every time he spoke in, because he'd added nothing but derision and insult. I don't think he contributed a single perspective to that entire podcast. It was just 30 minutes of him taking shots. But on the other hand, I think that Mindwaves could have done a much better job actively moderating rather than just facilitating the discussion, forcing people to clarify their positions before going up against the other person, taking people, allowing them to step back and redefine what it is exactly what they mean. So the conversation could have gone a lot more productively. I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, it was like I said, that it was a consistent thing that I've seen as like an issue on this kind of things that there, where it's like they get bogged down in the drama stuff and they don't like try to be like, okay, well, like, yeah, this is all this drama stuff is great, but like ultimately speaking, like there's no like example, because I was on the Big Brain podcast like 4 weeks before that kind of thing, and we got talking about transgender people, transgender like kind of transgender people in society and whatnot, and the problem was that basically it ended up just being a case of me and Mike from PA effectively consistently trying to like shut down the fake stories that the other like the right wingers were putting out, and that was like all we were basically being able to do there was they would come out and say like, oh, this trans woman fucking raped a child like 2 weeks ago in Texas, and we go,
Damn.
well, actually no, we looked into the article here. The article says that's not true. That doesn't happen at all. Like the only fact find is so a trans woman was beaten up in Texas. Like, what are you talking about? And we kept doing that like over and over and over again, break like kind of things, and it was like the moderation there would be like, hey, like you need to provide sources because you've clearly at this point lied consistently multiple fucking times about like your things here. Like, I mean, how can we trust this person if they keep lying over and over again about this kind of thing? It was just like, I don't know, it's just a nightmare of like trying to have an actual debate about it.
Yeah, I had a fun little moment of that as well too, where I recently I saw somebody posting around this R conspiracy thread where apparently there was a book in the children's section and it was about transgender children or youth at least, I don't know how young exactly, and it contained quote unquote graphic descriptions of oral sex performed on an adult, and this is in the kids section. They're trying to normalize pedophilia, and then of course you look into it for 2 minutes and it's a biopic on the life of one gender non-conforming person who described how they early on in their life were very sexually explorative, and then there was a passage where they specifically described how they would avoid doing such with adults because they were taught by their parents that was wrong and abusive, and that was it. That was the entire thing. There was no graphic nothing, and it wasn't even in the children's section. It was in like the youth section, which is a huge difference. Children's section has its own little corner in the library with the colored benches and little play toys and what have you. The youth section is where you'd find stuff like Harry Potter and what have you, which seems more appropriate. Yeah, I mean that's their job though, right? Fighting fake news. Yeah. I mean that's just what we have to do.
It's the job, but like I said, it is always a massive pain when their opinion, when the people who's expressing those fake opinions or fake news things over and over and over again are the people who have been like who are given a exact same amount of trust as like you are, which is like that's the problem. That's the biggest problem I have with like a lot of debates kind of thing, right? Is that like people act like it means that all of a sudden you have like two like equal positions. It's like no, like going into this thing, I want to make it very clear. Like a good example would be you and your Saigon thing, right? Like I don't like no one should have gone to that being like, oh yeah, this is a clear and obvious sign that like Vosh and like Saigon are like equivalent fucking partners of like, you know, presenting facts and stuff, where it should be like Saigon is a massive fucking liar who has consistently lied over and over and over again.
I imagine most of the audience would actually agree with you that Sargon is a far more reliable source of information than I could ever hope to be. Whatever, failing education systems aside, I've actually been trying to make an effort to adjust the type of content that I do lately. When I first started out, I got very incensed with the Nazi content. It's intoxicating, you know. They're the worst elements of society. They have a neo-Nazi has far more convincing arguments than a neoconservative. They're far less hypocritical, like by a long shot. If you listen to like an average Republican talk, it's riddled with hypocrisy. But if you follow the ideas to their natural conclusion, you have neo-Nazism or some other kind of like far traditionalist right value. And they're much more fun to debate. But I've gotten so bored of it lately. They're all NPCs. The Nazis that I would argue with, the process is the same every time. And I felt like I wasn't doing much good other than like sort of jerking off my own like rhetorical prowess, you know? Like I'm not actually affecting anything. It's just like, look at this. I can get them time for my 8th visit to the kill stream where I'm going to sound better than a bunch of deranged neo-Nazi alcoholics yet again. It didn't really felt worthwhile. So I'm trying to step away from that a little.
Yeah, yeah, that's I mean that's a fair fair position to hold. Yeah, I definitely like I have an open debate platform for people on my Twitch, which is basically like, hey, like if you come into my thing and you're spouting shit, then you can come on and debate me, and if you're too much of a coward to come online and debate me, then you can fuck off, basically. Which is well, I don't, which has led to me arguing with. I've argued with fucking pretty extremist like Islamic English people, which was a weird one. Which was a big derail. But like I said, like yeah, I get that kind of thing. Well, there was some like big issues I had with this for people where like I dragged them on to like argue with me, and their arguments would be so poorly constructed that it would be like this is just pointless because we're going round and round in circles here because they have like no foundation, but they keep going round and round like to the same point over and over again, kind of thing. Which is like they have like one point, and no matter how far I try to argue into that point and get them away from that point, they'll keep bouncing back to that point and go, oh well, no, but this is true, and then that's all they say. So like the Islamic dude, just like no matter how far I argued that that's not a good position, that how are you convincing me that I should be Islamic here, kind of thing, they would end up just going back to, oh well, you'll believe it if you believe it, right, kind of thing, like, oh, you'll find the faith for Islam at some point.
Well,
like,
you'll never be able to convince them, of course.
How can I convince? Yes.
Yeah, it's just about convincing the audience.
Yeah.
Which I imagine in your case, they've already got to your side. But I imagine that every time we stream, about 10%, sometimes more, depending on what we're doing, of our audience is on the fence about us, or maybe even actively opposed to us. And pulling those people in is how you really change minds, at least in the purview of streaming as opposed to like video production.
Yeah.
Stepping away from things we both agree on, how goes, in your perspective, you're probably more plugged into it than I am now, the epigraphic, the biblical war between the dirtbag leftists and the woke skulls? How are we doing on that? What's the tally? Have we won? Have we won yet?
I mean, obviously, off the bat, we could initially say that the whole war thing there was perhaps a good way for certain people to have perhaps so do some social capitalizing off of that.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Are you kidding me? Of course. But I do believe it's not grifting though. I believe the things that I say.
Yeah, but as I said, the not so much grifting element. It's more like like at the end of the day, but a big old war and fight thing definitely attracts a lot more people to watch your shit. It doesn't have to be grifting. It's like sometimes being profitable isn't always grifting. I think is the thing that I always say to people, right? Like, I mean, I use fucking real drama-seeking fucking titles and drama-seeking fucking like main topics as a way to like talk about shit. Does that make me a grifter? I don't think so personally, but some people do. But that's it. Like, so I don't necessarily think like there's. I think that the war thing was a big attempt to try to. I mean, it draws a lot of attention to people. They're like people like to click stuff like, all the woke souls are fucking idiots, or oh my god, all the fucking dirtbag left are fucking idiots, or some shit, right? Like, I mean, that draws people's attention because they want to see like what they want to see the drama. They want to see the
drama seeking. I mean, that's how we make our money. I mean, that's literally our job. If we don't, I don't like this leftist moral puritanism when it comes to like the sacrosanct like transactional nature of what we do and how we have to be incredibly careful about the risks of making money. Fuck that. If we want the left to succeed, we need people to have funding. This is one of the reasons why the right consistently outperforms us in metrics. Ben Shapiro has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars advertising himself in the Daily Wire, on Facebook, on Twitter, and what have you. We don't have that kind of money ever. If someone, for example, if Steven Crowder was to die in a horrible autoerotic asphyxiation accident, it would be perhaps less than a month before somebody else came to take over the show, funded and backed by some shady fucking dark pack, or by some committee willing to front the money to help them get the new site in operation. We don't have that. We need that support. We need that money. I don't think there's any shame in that.
Yeah. No, I definitely like. I mean, we talked about last time when we talked like 4 months. What was it? 4 months ago now. Some shit like a while ago. Yeah. Well before I
over 4. I was back in my old apartment. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, and before I even became a kind of YouTuber, I guess, of any kind.
You've been doing very well.
I've found a niche that works for me very well, which is, I said, is the drama thing of taking stuff that people like to get drawn into and then trying to make a topic about that. Which is, I mean, I've been doing with more fans right now. Fucking hell. this is the big thing I've had to deal with, right? Like, is like I've after dealing with a bunch of Nazis and a bunch of fucking Mauler fans and fucking like other like and Saigon fans and shit. At this point, I'm looking at like people that like other people like lefties that like people look and go, oh, I don't want to talk to them ever. Even people like fucking like even like liberals like Destiny or some shit, and being like, you know what? I think I can maybe talk to them. You know, I don't like they're not that bad. Like, and I think that's maybe an element of why I think like why certain people on left feel the way they do is that they do spend a lot of time in certain areas that don't mean they don't see the worst parts of the internet, or don't see like some of the most like more standard parts of the internet. So therefore, they get this idea that like they get this idea that the worst thing on the internet is people like you or something, right?
Nothing reminds you how important coalition building is when you've been exposed to the worst elements of the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, it does help a lot. I'll be real with you. It does help a little bit to see that kind of shit and go, oh, you know what? Like, you know what? Maybe I'll actually more comfortable.
Maybe that really is it. Maybe things just have to escalate a little more. Because when I see the Twitter or the YouTube rampages about how I'm some sexual assault, transphobe, whatever adjectives they throw at me, I can't help but wonder: does this person spend their entire life locked in these far left bubbles where they have no idea what's going on outside of it except for a vague, ill-defined threat? Would they still be acting this partisan if they spent, like, for example, a week on Pull and saw like how fucking deep the abyss goes? I have no idea. Can't force them to. I can't, Clockwork Orange open their eyes to the truth, of course. But I do hope that some of these people arrive at a sense of perspective sometime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I have, like I said, like I as far as I go, I'm generally willing to talk to almost any leftist, even ones that like other people don't like anymore. I said I put it into the kind of category of I'm willing to talk to them. But I would not force my choice onto other people, and I don't think that people should force their decision not to talk to that person onto me, kind of thing, right? Where it's like, I'm not going to force anybody to have to go and talk to leftists they don't want to, but I don't want anyone to force me not to talk to leftists that they don't like, kind of thing. Because if that happens, then I'm not going to like I'll get cancelled from fucking talking to anybody, right? Like, I mean, I know tons of leftists who someone doesn't like out there somewhere.
Fuck them. That cancel culture shit is dying off pretty quickly, in my opinion. I think as soon as the ContraPoints drama coalesced and all the other big left tubers, Philosophy Tube, H. Bomber Guy, Lindsay Ellis, refused to condemn ContraPoints the way everyone was begging them to, I think that pretty clearly indicated the alignments involved here. Whatever tiny vestigial husk of the online left is still interested in condemning and impugning these people for whatever perceived offenses are going to grow increasingly irrelevant with time. And good riddance, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like, there is the thing that annoys me the most of cancel culture, and at this point, I know people out there like to say cancel culture doesn't exist, but you're a sociology major. I've got 2 years of sociology stuff behind me at this point. If it's a thing that people have done often enough, and it's a kind of cultural community that people or a thing that people engage in enough, it ends up becoming a real thing, regardless of whether we like it or not, right? Like, I mean, like this maybe it's not like cancel culture in the same way that we kind of view it. Like, no one's getting canceled, but people are definitely getting like bombarded and harassed and all that kind of shit, right? Like,
yeah, of course. I mean, people always say like, "Oh, cancel culture." Well, ContraPoints is still on the internet, isn't she? I mean, on Twitter, of course. But no, obviously, the effort to deplatform is still deplatforming. By a wide margin. The effort still means something. The effort can still drive people off, demoralize, demotivate, demonetize.
Yeah, like as I said, like I don't agree with people who are like, oh, it's not real, because I feel like that's always just trying to like that's always turning into something where they're just trying to like dismiss like any of those kind of like issues that are like represented by what it is. It'd be like if you said like, oh, well, I mean, let's be real, like neo-Nazis aren't real because they're not. I mean, what's a new? They're not really new Nazis, are they? Like, they're not Germans or some shit, right? Like, I mean, no, like, sure, but like they are representing ideas that we like align with that kind of party, right? So I mean, we should talk about them in that kind of way, right? It's like it's a real fucking stupid thing to me where the people like try and pretend that like an idea that's been assigned to something isn't real when it's. I mean, that's how we make things real, is we assign a value to something. That's how it becomes real. Like, I mean, it's the stupidest fucking shit. I hate some people. I swear to God, that riles me up more than anything else. Honestly, is that fake shit there.
I'm honored that time and experience has brought you to sympathize with at least a little bit of my frustration with the online left, even if you don't agree with me completely. It's
I mean, we have our disagreements
sometimes,
right,
of course, but it's that particular aspect, I think, has been very frustrating. It hasn't been bothering me much lately, though. I don't know if this is because they've died down a little bit or because I've successfully ostracized all of the components of their culture from my own. But I don't think I've been really bothered by any of these groups for months. The only times I ever hear anything about it is when Thought Slime tweets something stupid. And even then, I'm never even going to get to talk to the guy, so it seems irrelevant to get worked up about it.
I have nothing to say about Thought Slime. I don't know. I don't talk to Thought Slime often enough to have a formed opinion on what they believe in. Honestly, I've talked to them a few times actually on like charity streams and shit, and they seem real nice and they seem real chill on those cases. And you know what? I don't know.
I feel worse for my fans, honestly. Apparently, they get saddled with harassment anytime they say they like me from like Jack Saint or Thought Slime fans or whatever. It doesn't seem to bother me very much, but if it bothers them, that's still something worth considering, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, fan bases are a hard thing to control. I've often found, and I think that I said like you could do your best to control them, but ultimately speaking, you can't be completely complicit in what they do. I said like it's the debate, right? I mean, how much can you control your fan base? And there's a limitation. Like you can tell your fan base, hey, don't do this. Don't go and attack people. Don't go and harass people. Don't do any of this kind of stuff. But if they go ahead and do it anyway, at that point, what can you really do to stop them, right? I mean, there's
well, yeah, of course, very little. Yeah. I just want the left to win. That's it. It's so very simple, so humble a goal. I just want us to be functional and effective online. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, on the topic of the left winning here, because I've been working on a video about that as well. Because as soon as I post anything about saying how I've ran out of ideas, I suddenly get a bunch of ideas. The Brexit thing, obviously, the general election of the UK. I mean, what was your takeaway from that? Because I know you had a video on that, which I have not seen as of yet. But what was the general takeaway that you had about like, either do you think Blue Labour's the way to go?
No, I don't think Blue Labour's the way to go. A lot of people say this. People love to say this. If only you compromised on your values, you would be more effective. For what reason do we win elections but to implement our values? No. Compromise is never the solution. Never. Especially not in such partisan times. There were many reasons why Labour won. There were legitimate reasons. Corbyn had a tremendous amount of baggage surrounding him, most of which was illegitimate and media perpetuated, but it existed nonetheless, and that affects voters. The party's general unwillingness to commit to their Brexit policy was a serious issue, and there were large swaths of what I guess would be called blue dog Democrats in the United States, former Northerner Englanders who used to be with Labour but are feeling the heat now that manufacturing has left their country and they no longer feel as though Labour represents them. Many of these people are, of course, quite racist, being rural, such is life. I think what they could have done to win, agreeing with Brexit, just hard agreeing that Brexit was going to happen, and probably getting a little bit dirtier with their political engagement. Corbyn was too nice. I love Corbyn. I love the man. I really do. But he was too nice, too kind. Boris Johnson was a ripe target for brutal, vicious mockery. And that high road politics just doesn't really speak to angry people as well as it does to calm people. That Boris Johnson won is a severe condemnation of the average IQ of your typical Englander, and I'd be willing to bet that the majority of the people who voted for him did so purely because they are racist. But with all that aside, there's no sense in complaining about things we can't change, only amending those which we can.
I think I generally, like, with the video that I'm working on, I'm trying to do more of like a here's what, to people that don't know about it, it's like here's what's happened, and then like trying to like what can we take away from this going on, going forward, right? Like what's the ideas here that we can take forward from this kind of thing. And I also link it back into I don't know, just like, you know, about like the Australian election from a year ago now, the one with the over in Aussie, if you know anything about that at all.
I remember not being happy with the results.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a good result. It was the Liberals got in, and if the Liberals are pretty fucking, basically they're like hard right conservative Christian corporate dick suckers, I guess would be the way to put it. They've literally released a bill. I've been telling everyone that I can find about this bill because nobody seems to be fucking noticing it. They literally released a bill recently, a religious discrimination bill, which puts religious discrimination above every other discrimination kind of thing. So you can go up to like a trans person in your workplace and tell them, hey, you should be, you shouldn't be a fucking trans, you should be a trans woman, you should be a man, God meant you to be a man kind of thing. And your religious rights to say that are over their rights to not be told that. at a
Jesus.
workplace.
Sounds like
And
a country in desperate need of some radical Islamification
yeah,
to get these conservatives to reconsider their
yeah.
priorities.
I mean, it was literally fucking. I was like reading, it was like, this is fucking batshit. Like it was like saying like some examples were like managers can go to women in workplace and tell them that they shouldn't be working, they should be at home, you know, with like they're keeping the house in order for their husbands and stuff, and women shouldn't work in workplaces. Like, and the fact that an employer can say it to an employee under this law is disgusting as shit. Like that's and you know, it basically overrides all workplace discrimination acts as well, effectively workplace discrimination codes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's an insane fucking bill, and I'm like so annoyed that people don't notice it like a lot. Like I mean, like we're talking about like, you know, people that's like the right, that's like meme about like, you know, Sharia law and all that kind of shit. But like here are like Christian conservatives putting in literal like Christian religious bills kind of thing into power kind of thing. And
things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. It's entirely possible that a few Anglo nations are going to succumb to legitimate fascist governments before we have our respective revolutions.
Yeah, but that's it. Like the big thing takeaway I saw the Australian one was that the Australian one had the same kind of things that the Australian Labor had the same issues I saw over with the British Labor Party, where they weren't willing to engage, and I like to call it populist tactics against like standard liberal tactics, right? Where a lot of our left-leaning parties are kind of stuck in trying to do political campaigns as they were like 10 years ago, right? 15 years ago kind of thing, where you go in there, you present your policies, you'd act real nice, you'd argue on the points, and then whoever like, you know, did that kind of thing the best management. I was like, no, like if we've learned anything from fucking Steve Bannon and Trump and Boris Johnson and that kind of thing, it's that you need to find a fucking one marketable point that you can fucking go and just shove down the throats of everybody so they remember that shit when they get to the polls at the end of the day, right? And that's the thing, like you got to find that like one kind of thing. And the Liberals in Australia had Labour's taxes, right? They kept every fucking thing would just be Labour's taxes are going to fuck over the average Australian, was like basically their entire fucking platform. It was mostly fucking lies, but like it was a very clear and obvious message that stuck with people, right? Stuck in the lizard brain part of people.
Well, like, yeah, of course, and the left has never been as good as delivering those like hard one note like bumper sticker phrases, because we usually are actually interested in worsening problems is very, very easily, incredibly so. You can fit that down 4 or 5 words maybe. Fixing problems requires a hell of a lot of nuance. So yeah, I don't really know.
But that's the thing. I was like looking at that, I was like saying like there is a clear and obvious example of somebody who is the left-leaning person who is utilizing this populist kind of tactics, this populist way of appealing to people. And at this point, I'm sure everyone fucking knows what I'm talking about. It's Bernie fucking Sanders. Bernie Sanders is competent at doing that, I've found so far. Like his ability to go onto a stage and constantly say, fuck the corporations is the problem. The corporations are screwing us over. The corporations are the ones who are fucking the economy, fucking the climate. Right? Like he's very consistent on saying those kind of things over and over again, which sticks with people, right? I mean, that's an easy target. It's an easy, you know, elitist target.
Yeah, with an unbiased media, Bernie Sanders would have unquestionably been the 2016 Democratic primary nominee, and probably would be for 2020 as well. Like without media bias, if everyone is presented like a level of media of attention proportional to how much prior voter support they had, he would unquestionably have been running in 2016.
Yeah. And this is like I mean, because there is also to a degree I think there's a need to be understanding of like that having the media against you is not necessarily like it is definitely, it can be a bad thing, but there are ways that you can swing that into your favor, I found. Another good example of that would be the way that Steve Bannon did it with the Trump campaign in 2017. Like he managed to swing, because I mean there was an undeniable from that period of time there was a consistent negative press against Trump. I mean it's hard to deny that was a thing that happened in 2016, but they managed to swing that into a case of, oh, the media is the enemy, right? The media is an enemy of Trump. They're the bad guys. They're the ones who are like, they're lying because they hate Trump and they were protecting their elitist the swamp kind of thing, right? Which Bernie, I think, can also do as well, right? Bernie is also doing that to a degree. He's like saying like, oh, like the media is lying about me because the media is in the pockets of big business, right? Which is, I think, a good way of getting people going, because I think a lot of people in America don't trust the media right now. Honestly,
sometimes I wonder if the only way that the left is going to be able to succeed long term in the face of all of this like nationalist populism is by dog whistling racism in ways that appeal to public interest but don't actually mean much of anything. I wonder if that would be possible. Like, for example, the wall is a really good example. The wall is not being built and will never be built. It was a stupid idea from
Yeah.
day one. It was, and even if it was built, it wouldn't do much. But it was a huge fucking dog whistle. It wasn't even a dog whistle. It just got people on board. I wonder if there would be ways to appeal to outward bigoted groups, and in ways that don't meaningfully affect policy decisions. Or you could like bail on them afterwards, but you would have plausible deniability for doing so. Something like that.
Yeah, I guess there would be like I mean like there's how much have you like read into like the Steve Bannon slash what the fuck was his name, the dude who like ran the Brexit campaign,
Nigel Farage.
no, the
Tommy
actual
Robinson?
person who was behind it. There was like a campaign manager they got him basically who had like there's a couple of like really good documentaries and one semi-average film with Benedict Cumberbatch about it.
Dominic Cummings.
That was it, yeah. Dominic Cummings, basically. Like he was a like regardless of what you say about him, as far as like a master of utilizing these clear populist agenda sort of stuff, he was very, very talented at that kind of thing. Like he absolutely like knew like we need to come into this Brexit thing and we need to basically hammer home like 2 or 3 points that might be fucking lies, but we need to hammer them home, right? Like that's the important fucking thing we need to do here. And he was like, he basically was super anti-EU, which is why he got dragged onto it, kind of thing. It's like a Leave kind of thing. And he like, yeah, he's actually quite a fascinating individual. Like if you have a chance to like watch any like basically like documentaries about him, like his kind of stuff going into that kind of thing was pretty fascinating. But like he like has this kind of stuff where he, like very, very clear messaging with like the EU campaign as like a way of like targeting. It wasn't he didn't focus on targeting. He was like, okay, he did like the whole thing of like, hey, there are people that are going to vote Remain. There are people who are going to vote Leave. Those people are abandon them, right? Like they'll fucking like they'll vote Remain regardless of what we say, and they'll vote Leave regardless of how badly we fuck up, right? What we need to focus on here is this like 20% people who are not normally targeted by the media, right? That we can get to through social media, that we can get to through the illegal methods that they use with the what they call like the two social like the social media algorithm people that they use. I can't remember what they're called now, but like it was like illegal as shit. But like they utilized them as a way of like trying to target like these people with like advertising and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, like it was like that's how I kind of view stuff like the US election going in, right? There are going to be people that, regardless of what you fucking do, I think it's about 30% right now of people in the US are going to fucking vote Trump regardless of what they do. Don't try and appeal to those people. You're never going to convince them. You're never going to get them to like change sides to Democrat, like vote for Bernie, right? They're never going to do it.
I think
what you want to focus on.
I think I recently made a video to that effect. All right. I'm curious, and I'm completely changing the subject here. Very much away from this because this the UK election stuff, highly doomer. Getting back to the sweet drama.
It's doomer as the US election.
No. That's probably going to be a little bit worse, at least for me. Taking a step away from that. Earlier, and I don't know how we didn't harp on this topic a little bit more. You talked about lefty politics in the Twitch space with all the podcasts and what have you. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. All the podcasts and get-togethers and group shows and such. Do you have any plans to get on the Raj Royale yourself? By the way.
I've talked about the fact that I would love to get on the Raj Royale. I've gone over a couple of the Raj Royales beforehand. I've gone over and like reviewed a couple of them. And I've found that they're the people that go onto them normally, like the leftist people that go onto them, are normally in the most favorable possible way ever. And I won't use the R word because I don't use that word.
Mm-hmm.
But I would call them absolute fucking idiots. Who have absolutely no capability to debate in the way that Raj Royale needs you to debate.
Would you like to name any specific names?
So the one person that I reviewed at the time, because I did like once I do Raj Royale and like I do like a little list of like, hey, let's rank the people and how well they're doing kind of thing, right? And the one I did was the Destiny, Mindwaves, Richard Lewis, Mike from PA, and then all the fucking trash people, right? There's a whole bunch of people that like are trash who just are on there to just meme and shit and don't do anything at all and don't contribute anything to any conversation.
What was your assessment from that?
I ended up basically coming out that the person who presented the best arguments and also presented the best positions was Richard Lewis. The ex-Breitbart writer was the person who presented the most well-founded positions. He presented the best argumentation. He didn't get bogged down into like just shouting random garbage that meant nothing at all. He performed the best out of all of them. And then the next one down was, I think it was either Destiny or Mindwaves performed next best. And at the very bottom of all the political people was fucking Mike from PA, because Mike, he was performing garbage. He wasn't like, I've actually watched a lot of the Mike debates now at this point, and I personally I don't think he's very good at them. After seeing his like way that he builds he logically builds shit, it doesn't seem to like add up very well.
Debate is a very, very difficult subject of study. I don't know if everyone is perhaps very cut out for it. I do every time I watch a Raj Royale. It's self-harm when I do it, really, because all I'm doing really is wishing that I was there. If I was on Twitch with my comparative size, getting on would be pretty easy. Because also I'm fairly argumentative, but I'm condemned. I'm forced to watch from a distance. I do hope that you're able to get on in the future. You conduct yourself pretty well in live discussions. I haven't debated you, but I think you do a decent job in that respect.
Well, the debates, as far as debates go, I don't recognize that. Like I've done academic debates before and stuff, which is the thing is and this is a big advice for a lot of people. Don't expect academic debates on places like Twitch or YouTube. It just doesn't happen. They're their own kind of debates. They're more of a Ben Shapiro debate, if anything, honestly. Don't
you think it's nice, though, that of all of the social media sites, it is Twitch that is the most, I think, unabashedly left-leaning in regards to whatever politics are done on its platform. The largest political representation that you'll see on those platforms is probably the Raj Royale or the Scuffed podcast. Those are the two sort of hubs of political discussion. And in both instances, I'm not trying to rep my boy out too hard here, usually the Raj Royale tends to lean pretty left. Raj himself is fairly left-leaning, in my opinion. And with the Scuffed podcast, which is run by Trainwreck, someone who is not by any means left-leaning, there's usually one or two people on there who sort of keep the discussion moderated. It's the only platform I've seen that hasn't degenerated into like having like full-on alt-right neo-Nazi circles or having any like areas that have been dominated by like traditional conservatism. The most political areas seem to be at worst pretty liberal.
They're definitely like it. Yeah, I put them honestly as far as like the Raj Royale stuff, because I know that it's currently co-hosted by what the fuck's his name? Greek God, I think it is, whatever the fuck he's called.
Yeah, Greek God X fucking true. Yeah.
Yeah, like I put both of them into like, I mean, from what I've seen on that show, which like half the show is like political stuff, which is like like left shit and like whatnot, and like left versus right kind of shit, and the other half is just like cringy fucking like some like the like the women on that show who buy very heavily into the Twitch thought image. Like I mean, it's basically like them and then like Greek God like hitting on them kind of thing is like half the rest of the show.
Absolutely.
Just forced me just like into fucking cringe category shit, because
dude,
I'm just like, what the fuck
goth fucking Greek God lost like 8,000 pounds. He's just flexing his currently and very suddenly existent jawline. How dare you take that away from him?
Yeah, sure, but like, I mean, like, what the? I just hate when like they brings like, honestly, like, I hate the representation that's on the Raj Royale for like predominantly women, right? I mean, as bad as it, like,
you mean where 12 people, where 12 people come on, and then a political topic comes up, and the 4 dudes yell about it, and 8 women are just sitting there looking pretty.
Yeah. I feel like that pisses me off, because like I feel like if anything that pushes this like this idea that like all the fucking women on Twitch are just fucking like booby streamer kind of shit. Like I mean, like, which I know not to be true. I know tons of fucking women on fucking Twitch who are very, very talented, very fucking like smart individuals who like absolutely can hold themselves in fucking arguments, but they just don't ever get invited on there. Like,
no, absolutely, yeah, but it's an eye candy kind of thing, and I don't know if it's Raj is like actively sexist and how he biases his choices. I'm inclined to believe that's not actually the case. My guess would be that some of the more engaged women on the platform are hesitant to go on the Raj Royale because they're afraid that breaking the mold of like just the pretty booby streamer on that place will earn them a lot of ire and attention from some of the more pernicious elements of the Twitch community that come to watch those streams,
Sure, but I don't know. As I explained when I was doing my fucking review of the Raj Royale, I said like people saying like, oh, I'm pretty sure like these people's like these people's streams are they're just like it's just a It's just a fucking, it's just an act. They're putting on an act. Like, I don't give a shit. If it's just an act, but it's an act they do consistently across the board, then that might as well be who they are online, right? Like, I hate this fucking argument. Like, if it's just an act, it's fine, right? But it's like, no, like, I mean, if it's an act, it's like, that's how they present to most people. That's how they're presenting themselves as like who they are to people, right? Like, I don't give a fucking shit like what their intentions are. I don't give a fucking crap about that kind of shit. I just look at like I can see what I see, and that's all I can see.
You believe Twitch is sexist too, correct? Wait. Actually, I should clarify. Do you think that Twitch is not just sexist, but Squad W? That the Twitch admins are all simping for like booby pussy. So
I definitely see that
be biased in the dissemination of their bans and stuff.
I definitely have seen to a degree that there are issues with like with sexism on Twitch, where I feel like the sexism on Twitch falls into like a very like very classic like conservative version of like sexism kind of thing, where it's like, oh, like the women who are very conventionally attractive and do like booby streamer stuff get away with a lot of stuff, whereas like
Squad, that's what I'm fucking saying. These fucking
and those are the people that get pushed the most.
100%. It's a trade-off though, because they may get slightly preferential treatment, some of the larger attractive female streamers, but on the other hand, the community fucking despises them for it. So it's definitely a trade-off. I feel like if given the choice, they would actually prefer the alternative, that they got held to the same or even harsher standards, but the community didn't treat them like they were skating by on like on their like holes.
Yeah, it's like it is kind of a shitty thing, and I mean they're I mean like it's one of those things where I don't think it's very good, because off the bat it is as a thing like people like kind of like if people figure out that kind of sexism and go, oh well, this is clearly like this is favoring women and whatnot, like it's clearly like it's like favorite, but like no, like if sexism that normally favors people can actually end up being sexism that is bad for those groups of people, right? Because I mean, like sexism that favors booby streamers and whatnot is inherently bad for most women across the platform, because it inadvertently affects other women streamers on the platform.
100. It's paternalistic sexism. Yeah, it's still 100% of an issue. It's just something that it's something people don't like to regard as such, because it forces them to be critical about the reasons why they're being treated preferentially.
Yeah, in the same way that paternalistic sexism with regards to like men and shit is also bad for a lot of men, because it forces them to be stuck into a certain categorization of how they should act and whatnot, and which is negative for anybody who wants to break out of that kind of
exactly
very strict regimentation.
I have a question for you coming from Adono, if you feel like answering it.
Yeah, I'm always down for any questions.
Question for Gutian. Oh, Somnio Static with the $5. Thank you. Question for Gutian. Why do you think so much of the left is so dishonestly critical of Vosh? That's a pretty loaded question. We'll see how she handles it.
So, like I said, the issue that I have there is this is the same thing that I have with people when I get dragged on for a lot of like when I get dragged onto like right-wing shows to argue about stuff. Is again, I can't speak for anyone. The majority of people on the left, I can only speak for my own attitudes towards people. I can't defend anybody else's positions or attitudes. I personally think that a lot of people don't like Vosh because of the history that Vosh has. I mean, that's it. Like, let's be real here. Vosh does have a fucking what's it called? Speckled history? What the fuck do you call that? What's the word there? There's a terminology, I forgot what it is.
Mixed, marbled.
Yeah, mixed. It's not cool. Let's be honest. It's not completely clean. There's some shit in there, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think that some people do get in this mindset where they don't allow people to showcase change, right? Or they don't allow certain people to showcase change. I mean, the stuff that Vosh has done in the past, I generally put into this kind of perspective of I don't necessarily like some of that stuff, but as far as I can see, Vosh hasn't repeated some of the worst things recently, so therefore I don't necessarily have those kind of same complaints, right? I mean, people can change, and we need to allow people to be able to change, right? Obviously, who knows? I mean, maybe Vosh is fucking, I don't know, sexually harassing someone else right now. I don't know. But if they are, that's not good. Stop it.
You can't see what my legs are doing. I could have an entire other keyboard down there.
Damn it. That's true. Fuck. I've been played like a fiddle. But I don't know, like there's the stuff that like I said, like there's people get stuck. I mean, people get stuck in the mindset of like they don't like what someone has done in the past, and they will like never end up giving that person a break ever again. I mean, this happens with almost every lefty. It's happened with fucking I mean, another person that I talk to quite frequently, Peter Coffin, isn't normally consistent in a lot of shit. And I normally get called out for being a Peter Coffin stan or like a an apologist or some shit, which
Yeah,
I
they
disagree with
call them
massively. I mean,
Peterphile.
yeah, but like I said, like I've talked to Peter about this in private in the past, and we've discussed this, and I've been over the fact that like I disagree with what he was doing there, and I was like I wanted to make it very clear that I was not supportive of that kind of thing, and like I said, like uh and yes, it's a thing that I put work into, kind of thing, and I do a lot of effort into trying to be like I. So yeah, I think people lie, like the lie about Vosh thing. I think that for a large amount of people, it's not necessarily them lying as much as it is them having a opinion about Vosh that is rooted in a older bias. So therefore, they're more biased towards Vosh. They're more biased towards negatively viewing Vosh.
So you're saying it's 2019, we got to bring these bitches into the future? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Well, I'm saying, like, I mean, at the end of the day, if someone showcases that they're not acting in the exact same manner that we disagreed with in the past, and they're showcasing through consistently improving their performance, that they're trying to change from that image that they were in the past, then that's a good thing, right? We should be supportive of that. We should be trying to say, okay, that's great that you're doing that, and I really appreciate that you are recognizing recognizing that kind of stuff and trying to move on from that. Which I think is real good.
I'm transphobic in secret now. I'm keeping it under wraps.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to end stream soon, on account to make way for my girlfriend's stream. And prior to that, I need to yell at chat. Just gotta get some of those juices out. Do you want to hit on one last point before you head?
Okay. So, calling Sargon the R word.
No. Listen. I am philosophy of language. I don't believe any words are intrinsically good or bad, only in their consequences. Whether or not you believe calling Sargon retarded is a harmful act or not, I don't know. I can't particularly imagine it did much harm midst his fan base, since they drown in that word. Not entirely sure what people thought of it midst mine. A surprising number of people were upset by it, though. I don't know if they thought there was some dignity to that debate that I was quelling by calling him retarded.
Sure. So the issue here is not. The issue here isn't the idea of dignity in the debate, I think. The issue that I have here is generally the how is that word utilized in a general sense, and is that word utilized in a way that we consider as not a positive usage, right? I mean, in a day, like, do we, like I said, like, if would you like I said, like, I generally put, as far as like the R word goes, I would normally put that into a similar category as my mind as far as like the M word goes, where I don't think it's been rehabilitated as a word from like what it was in what it's predominantly been used for, which is as a way of mocking someone with a disability. I don't think the R word is far enough removed from that. Maybe in 100 years in the future, who knows what it'll be like, right? Maybe who knows what the M word will be like. But like right now, I think it's too closely linked to that image. If that makes sense.
Do you think it's really up there with the N word? I can't imagine.
I put it in as far as like something that is as far as like not in like the contextual as like, I guess, like, I don't know, I don't do hierarchies of words kind of thing. Normally I don't really bother with that kind of stuff. I normally go more like, has it been consistently used as a way of mocking those people in recent times, right? Like, it has the R word being consistently used as a way of mocking people who have disabilities or learning disabilities or mental disabilities, right? In recent times, and the answer is yes. But the N word is used to mock Black people in recent times, right? So I think that it's not a word that's so removed from its original meaning, right?
The main distinction that I call, I'm not asserting that it's been removed from its original meaning. The main assertion I make is that, unlike, say, racial slurs, there is some legitimate pernicious value to accusing somebody of being unintelligent. We do it. You've done it. You, in this conversation, have made fun of people for being unintelligent, or at least lacking in ability. This is something we all do. So while I consider saying, I'll say now, the R slur, while it is undeniably not removed from the origins, which made it derogatory towards the disabled, I would argue that it's hitting upon the same fundamental assertions that one would make if you were to call somebody stupid, which we almost all of us do. Whereas calling someone, say, for example, the N-word or any other racial slur or something like that, there's no equivalent, perhaps watered down iterant of that insult that we could turn to. It's always wrong to make fun of somebody for their race, whereas we've agreed collectively as society, making some fun of somebody for their ability is something you can do in certain instances. It's just the language you choose to use it. But really, I don't care about any of that. My actual, my true, real defense is that he is developmentally disabled. So it's okay that I say it. It's medically accurate.
I mean, you medically accurate. I mean, like I said, would you? I guess if we want to categorization there, would you call someone? Would you to their face call someone who has mental disabilities a R word? I guess I probably wouldn't, because I guess it is in this falls into personal categorizations. I'm not going to cancel you over the usage of that word. It's this is a criticism. And I'm sure your chat's fucking just happy right now, but they do what they do. But there's
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that much to me, honestly. I mean, I said it because it was fun to say it. There's no broad ideological goal behind that, and if it's bad optics for me to say it and it hurts my perception, I'll stop saying it, because that's old. I'm not going to consistency myself into a wall here. I do think that people are a little weird when it comes to ableism. Sometimes there are some ways in which we're all totally okay with ableism, but then some particular words suddenly become an issue, whereas we're ubiquitously not okay with making fun of people based on their race, for example. But whatever the case may be, if people are going to get real upset about it, I'm sure I can think of more creative insults the next time I'm face to face with somebody of that. But that's it.
Yeah, because the only on the optics argue, just because that is one I get into recently, is that if I was conceding on that kind of point goes, I then have people that push me on trying to stop me from saying words like idiot or fuckwit or fucking stupid or whatnot, right? Removing idiot or stupid, because if we go back to the fucking early 1900s or 1800s, those words were used to describe people of lower mental capability, and therefore they're a bad thing. At this point, those as far as under my own categorization of how far removed are they from the original words, those ones for me are far removed enough from that original usage from the 1800s, early 1900s, that I don't necessarily think of them as being intrinsically linked as a way of mocking those people, so much as as a way as intrinsically linked to mocking people with mental disabilities and whatnot, right?
They can take idiot from my cold dead hands, but yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think a lot of people overstate the harm done by this super over performatively, people looking for an excuse to get upset over things. But whether I'm not capable of objectively assessing whether or not somebody's feelings are hurt legitimately, or whether they're only doing so because they feel as though they should have their feelings hurt given the circumstances. So yeah, it's just a matter of adjusting one's language. Yeah,
the language is a hard conversation, because for a lot of people it does end up getting very personal, and does end up getting very at the end of the day, people don't like it when you take words away from them, because it's something that they enjoy doing, or something that they are used to doing. So I understand that it's one of those things where I don't normally cancel people over language. I don't normally do any that kind of stuff. I don't really care as far as that goes. I much care more about your politics than your language. But the language is, I think, an important thing when it comes to how people view you and shit, right? At the end of the day. And I think I wouldn't pick the R word as a hill to die on. I think that's the thing I'd put it as, right?
Brainlet and smooth brain are funner to say anyway.
Yeah. Replacement words.
Yeah, I've seen some stupid opinions in my chat. I've got to yell at them. Do you want to shout yourself out before I head?
Yeah, sure. So if you like what I've been saying, then go and check out my YouTube channel at Gutian. If you hate what I've been saying, go to my Twitch channel at Gutian Gang, and I can argue with you yourself, you fucking idiots. And we can go over why you're a moron and why you should shut the fuck up. Yeah, we can talk about that on my Twitch, which is why I do all my aggressively arguing with people for fun. But no, seriously, if you're a lefty, I'm sure we can have a good conversation, and we can have a, like the Vosh thing, we can have a chill talk for an hour or so, and then argue for half an hour.
Then you can go back to slandering me on Twitter. I see you.
Oh, have I ever slandered you on Twitter? Has that ever happened?
You come close a few times.
Let me just go to my Twitter right now. Vosh sucks dick hard.
It's not. I mean, not false.
All right, there we go.
She does good content, comrades.
Tweet it.
Go check her stuff out.
But yeah. Thank you for having a chat with me. It's always, I said, I don't know. People always fit an argument, but I don't know. It's not really kind of never been what we've done. I mean, we didn't argue last time I came on. I don't imagine we'll ever get into a serious argument. I can't see it happening. Our politics are far too similar. I think
Yes,
for that to happen.
I can't imagine until the biblical war between the woke scold and the the dirtbag.
Yeah.
No. I'm pretty sure that's pretty much done with. If that comes up again, it's going to be over some. Well, Contra has to make a new video eventually, right? Okay, it's going.
Oh
to come
yeah,
up when
I'm
that
sure
happens.
that's. I really really hope that the video is not going to be like a fucking turf apologist video. I really fucking I
It's
pray to
not.
God
It's
every
not
day.
going to be turf.
It won't be, but like there's a bit of me that's worried, right? There's like a low tier worry, like a real low tier worry.
I'm extremely confident we're all going to be okay.
Yeah,
But I'm
I
sure
hope so.
someone will interpret it as one. Anyway, have yourself a good one, okay?
Yeah, you too. Have a good time arguing your chat. I hope it's as fun as you expect. Anyway, I'll catch you, man.
Catch you.